Hey guys, Tony Denaro here. Today I'm going to be talking with you about my thoughts on one of the most hotly debated stocks of last week. The ticker symbol is GNS, Genius Group Limited. This stock ran up over 1,000% in the last 6 days from 30 cents to just over $5. And I called on Thursday night that in Friday pre-market you would see this stock top out just over $5. How did I know that? Is this a giant scam or was it a short squeeze? Let's get right into it. All right, let's start off by looking at this stock chart. And if this is your first time here, I want to thank you for tuning in. Be sure and hit that subscribe button so you don't miss calls like the one that I made last Thursday evening on this stock, topping out just over $5. Now, for the past month, this stock has been trading in the 30-cent range, but there was a press release on Thursday, January 19th, that really got this stock moving. The day before, it had closed in the 50-cent range. Thursday, after that press release, it soared up to $2, and then overnight and after hours and pre-market Friday morning, it ran all the way up to $5.45 in pre-market, closing the day after hours on Friday at $3.25. I was in this play. I had, as I disclosed on Thursday night, a good till canceled sell order to sell it in pre-market if it hit $5. It did that. I got out of the play. I am not currently in the play. Let's go through why this happened, and was it really a short squeeze like some people are telling you, or was this a big scam? Now, I am sure that some of you are aware there has been an increasing movement by certain companies and their CEOs to address the potential manipulation, failures to deliver, naked short selling, and other malfeasance that they think is going on in their stocks. And this company, Genius Group, and their CEO decided to enter that field of battle on January 4th, about 17 days ago. Here we see that Genius Group says a probe has found that individuals or companies illegally sold significant amounts of its stock. Reading further in the article, it says the company said that it appears to be part of a market manipulation scheme seeking to artificially depress the price of the securities of the company, and they plan to continue to investigate the matter and aggressively pursue all remedies. This put the stock on many people's radar about 17 days ago, and then we had this new press release on the 19th. On Thursday morning in pre-market, we get a notice that Genius Group has named a ex-FBI official to head a task force to investigate illegal trading of the stock, and they intend to pay a special dividend. Two little bits of good news that started this stock moving on Thursday the 19th. A couple of highlight details from the article. It says the company has been in communication with government regulatory authorities and is sharing information with these authorities to assist them, and that the company has proof from Warshaw Burstein LLP and Christian Levine Law Group with tracking from Share Intel that certain individual and or companies sold but failed to deliver a significant amount of its shares as part of a scheme to artificially depress the stock price. Now let's look into what I'm able to see from the data and talk about what this article means and why this got the stock running up. The firm Share Intel claims to have a proprietary software system to track and identify illegal or manipulative trading patterns, but let's look at the data that I can see, that you can see, the type of work that I do to understand these plays as we're getting into them and identify if what we are being told is the truth. Was this really a short squeeze? Is there really malfeasance going on? I'm going to start off by looking at the failure to deliver data for Genius Group, and you can see that it was pretty flat for the last year until November 30th, we had a huge spike, this huge white bar up right here. And if we scroll down and look at that data, it was normally having failures to deliver in the 1,000, 10,000 range, 7,000. Some days having no failures to deliver. You can see the dates that are missing on this chart. But on December 2nd, there was this huge spike to 551,000 shares that were failed to deliver. What happened 2 days before December 2nd, because this is T+2 data, on November 30th, was GNS's shareholder conference call where they disclosed their latest quarterly results. But before we look at that chart, I want to just point out what a lot of people don't ever tell you is that these failures to deliver were resolved the next business day. Here on December 5th, you can see the FTD change minus 550,000. So these were a failure to deliver on the 2nd. They were closed out on the 5th. The most current data that we have for failures to deliver on GNS is 564 shares. That is the last day of data. You always go by the last day. It is 2 weeks delayed, so we'll get an update here soon for the first part of January. But the last official data for GNS was 564 shares failed to deliver. Now we can see here in the month of October, the stock was trading in the $1.60 to $2 range. It fell the entire month of October down to about 45 cents until we get to the end of October. And let me just zoom in here so we can see what happened on the hourly chart. On that day that they had the shareholder meeting, it did run up in the 30th all the way to a high on this top wick of 64 cents. In the subsequent days, it got dropped even lower, down all the way into the low 30-cent range. So why the run up after the November 30th quarterly results were released, and then why did it start falling? Let's look at the press release. Genius Group announces 60.68% revenue growth for the 9 months ending September 30th, and a gross margin expansion on a pro forma basis to 47%. If you saw that headline and didn't read any further, you might say bye, bye, bye. But if we read further into the press release and go down into the financials, the accounting stuff, the nitty gritty, on the 9 months ending September 30th, 2022, there was an EBITDA net loss of $3.89 million compared to an EBITDA net loss of $1.59 million for the 9 months a year ago. What does that mean? Even though the company is growing, the losses are getting bigger. All right, Tony, so I can understand why maybe it got ran up in November and then it got ran down when people realized the news wasn't as good as they thought. But what about here back in the end of October? Surely that was naked shorts, right, that drove the price down. Now you might ask yourself, and I do, was there naked shorting or manipulative tactics that caused the stock to start falling on October 19th right here on the chart, or was there some company news? So I went back and checked. The company did indeed have a press release on October 19th announcing that the company was growing, but the bad news was buried down in the middle of the article, and this is probably what Wall Street and investors focused on. You have to have earnings, and the earnings got worse for the first half of 2022. They had a EBITDA net loss of $1.96 million compared to a EBITDA net loss of only $0.62 million in the same time frame a year ago. So earnings are getting worse, bigger losses per share. And that has been the trend with this company. On an annual basis, you can see that the revenues are on a generally upward trend, but the losses also keep growing, getting bigger and bigger than the previous years. You can see that right here on net income and the diluted earnings per share. The losses per share keep on getting worse and worse despite the increasing growth of the company. So getting back to the press release about an investigation going on into malfeasance and shares that were failed to deliver, I think it might be safe to assume that that 500,000 would be justifiable enough to throw out a press release. Whether or not a share intel or a legal investigation will yield anything from that, I guess we will need to wait a few weeks, months, or years for them to release that or take it to court or whatever they're going to do. That is neither here nor there. That is done, and the failures to deliver are back down to 564 shares for the moment. But what about short interest? I saw all sorts of tweets and YouTube videos saying, we are going to short squeeze this company because they put out a press release saying that they are being shorted to death. Was that true? Let's look at the Ortex, guys. Here we have the Ortex estimated short interest and the exchange reported short interest. And you can see going back 3 months, this green and orange line, it is between 0, 0.5%, 1% short interest on this stock. Until the last day or so, it went up to about 4% because of the huge volume of trading. And of course, when you run the price up from 50 cents to $5, you're going to have some more shorts come into the play. But what I am looking for on any stock that I consider a short squeeze play is at an absolute minimum 20%, 20, 50, 100%. Those are your short squeeze candidates. By any measure of reasonable data that we have available to us, showing right here on Ortex that it was 0 to 1%. For as far back as we can see, this was never a short squeeze play. There was no short interest on this stock. I don't know on what basis anybody could make a video using data that says this was a short squeeze play. One of the other tools that people like to use to determine if there's any shenanigans or malfeasance going on with the stock is the daily short volume. So let's take a look at that for Genius. And I'm going to go down to this table that shows the short volume as a percentage of the total volume. You can see that for most days, it's as low as 2% right here on January 3rd. Most days 20, 30, low 30s, some in the 40s and 50s, but pretty low compared to some stocks that we see that have 50 to 60% every single day in daily short volume. This is pretty low on the average. I can see that back on November 30th, remember when we had that earnings report and the total volume for the day was pretty high, about 3 million shares. We had 500,000 of those fail to deliver. That was a 65% daily short volume. And then if we look at the most recent days, January 19th and 20th, the total short volume increased to 54.72% and 60% on January 20th. If we look at that as a total short volume, that was about 103 million shares on the 20th, 124 million on the 19th out of the total volumes here in the second column. Overall, my analysis on this stock for the past couple months shows me that the normal daily short volume being the low 20s to 30% range is very, very normal compared to most stocks. All right, so you want to know, how did I know to get out of this play at $5? If you were watching my live stream Thursday night, you heard me talk about the price of this stock would probably run up in pre-market Friday morning to just over $5, and that I had a sell limit order set, good till canceled, at $5. And yep, I got out of the play automatically in Friday morning just before the market opened. When it peaked at 541, I was already out at $5. I did not get back in the play because then the shorts came in and started taking it down. But how did I know? I'm going to share with you one of the tools that I use to do the due diligence and try and figure out these price targets of where these things can cap out. And I want you guys to get used to reading company disclosures and doing all of the due diligence. Or if you're just too lazy to do that, subscribe to the channel and come in my live streams, and I'll be happy to share my opinions with you. Now, I have seen this type of thing happen before with warrants or convertible notes, so I have a habit now of checking for those when we get these extreme retail FOMO run-ups. Run-ups that don't make any sense based on the news. And I love to play them, but I want to know a reasonable price target, not some crazy price target given to me on YouTube or Twitter by someone who has a horrible track record of pushing penny stocks, and those price targets never work out. So let's look at the convertible bonds for Genius Group Limited. There was a convertible note that was sold to an investor in August of 2022. And I saw this days and days ago. I called it out in the Discord well before Thursday night to let people know, be careful in this play, be taking profits as it's running up. Don't get caught bag holding. The conversion price on this convertible note was $5.17. And if the debt holder decided to convert that debt into equity, they would be able to convert it to 3.5 million shares of stock. This stock has a float of just over 10 million shares. So 3.5 additional shares being sold into the market is going to act as a top ceiling for this stock should that debt holder decide to start selling those into the market, and they have the right to do that. So I wanted to be out of the play before that could happen. Now, we saw that the price went down once that mark was hit at $5.41. And sure enough, when things start slowing down, that's when the shorts do start piling in because they see an advantage, they see an opportunity, and the stock just got tanked the entire day on Friday once the market opened. Now, could it run up again on Monday or next week? Absolutely. If people love this stock and they want to put money in it and take a chance, you could run it up again. But you still don't know because no filing has been made yet. Did that debt holder sell all those $3.5 million into the market? I'm going to be keeping an eye out for press releases on that, and you should too. And if a run-up starts happening on this stock again, I want you to keep that in the back of your mind. If it blows all the way through $6, you're probably good to go. It's going to keep running for a bit. The other thing I looked into is the shares outstanding versus the free float. And the shares outstanding is just over 21 million. The free float is just over 10 million. Who holds those other shares? The CEO. Could he be selling into this run-up? Absolutely, he could. That could also act as some buffering to where the stock could top out. We won't know if he sold any until after he files a disclosure form, and I'm not saying that he did or that he is. It just is a potential to be aware of. Now, one other thing that I want to leave you with, if you just love this company and the fact that they are fighting against malfeasance and shenanigans, and you want to ignore the fact that even though they're growing, their losses are getting bigger and bigger every quarter, I want to talk about dilution besides the convertible notes and besides the fact that the CEO has the potential to dilute the float by 50% by selling his own personal shares. Let's talk about a share offering. If you notice here on the balance sheet, the largest asset that the company has on their balance sheet is this restricted cash. $11 million. Now that is restricted cash because it is collateral for the convertible notes. And the company can receive this cash, get it unblocked upon achieving certain conditions that are set forth in the note agreement. It says right here in the note agreement, which was filed back in August, I believe, that the second half of the money can be released to the company upon doing a $7.5 million equity raise. What does that mean? Selling more shares, dilution. I just want to point this out to you in case you're thinking about you're going to hold this stock at $3, $4, $5, $10. What's the worst that could go wrong? More dilution on a company that has decreasing earnings is not always the best thing. Yes, 12 days ago, a filing was made that the company is going to do a $7.5 million share subscription and purchase agreement. Remember, that is the condition number 2 in that convertible debt, the condition that the company must meet to get that cash on their balance sheet unblocked. In accordance with this agreement, the company would issue ordinary shares, and these shares would be issued in tranches at the company's sole discretion over a 30-month term. I'm not saying that's good or bad. Look, companies got to do what they got to do to raise money, but if you are holding this company, I want you to be aware of all of the potential ways of dilution that are headed your way so that you make the right decision whether you want to buy, hold, or sell this stock. The decision is up to you. Do your own due diligence. I'm just sharing the information that I found doing my own research, and I hope it encourages you to do your own research as well. If you have any questions or I got something wrong in this video, please leave me a comment down below. If this is your first time here, don't forget to hit that subscribe button so that you don't miss future updates. Or join me on a live stream during the daytime when I'm streaming during market hours, or in the evenings where we have a little bit more fun and a couple of drinks and talk stocks and how your day is going. Great community on the evening live streams as well. If you got value out of this information, please hit the like button, share it with your friends on Facebook, Twitter, StockTwits, or wherever you like to share it. Sure would appreciate it. I am Tony Denaro. I will see you on the next video.
You're talking like you think you're royalty. You think that I'm afraid, but I don't break.